All right, part of our expansive way of stepping into more fluidity is coming from this concept called asking lofty questions. This was something I found out about more from, I think I ran into an article on Vishen Lakhiani, Code of the Extraordinary Mind, his Mindful Valley blog, and he actually published this video from intuitive healer Christy Marie Sheldon around shifting your awareness into receiving connectivity and how that can override negative, dead-ended conversations in your head by simply framing questions in the positive. So we're going to get into what are some good lofty questions you can be asking yourself, A, when you hit a roadblock, or B, when you just know you want to repattern something. So I was coaching a yoga health coach yesterday, and she was saying, I have all this resistance to reaching out to all the people I know who would be great to have in my course and could really benefit their lives. And so this is an example of a situation that'd be like, okay, great. How do we turn this into a lofty question? And what is a lofty question? So lofty questions are used to release limiting beliefs or outdated mental tracks. We can use them to step into a deeper dharma. All you want to do is take an outdated pattern in your mind and actually change it as if it had already evolved, as if you'd already evolved out of it. So for instance, the gal I was coaching, she could ask herself, how did it become so easy for me to reach out and enroll the people I'm closest to into my next course that's starting in September? Right, that's an example of a lofty question that she could just use instantly to turn around how her mind is going to generate some answers. So before we go into what some good question stems are, I want to read a little bit from David Hoffield, who wrote a book on selling and influencing, and he also has this article in Fast Company, which is want to know what your brain does when it hears a question. So I'm going to read a bunch of this, and I know words, for some of us, we need to see the words on the screen, so that's why I did it this way. He says, questions are powerful. Not only does hearing a question affect what our brains do in that instant, it can also shape our future behavior. And he talks a bit in that article how just simply asking a question starts to take like 100% of your awareness into answering that question. That our minds multitask. They do serial tasking, one thing, then the other, then the other. And so when they hear a question, when our mind hears a question, when your mind hears a question, it instantly goes to answering that question. And that's really a lot about why lofty questions are a great thing to do when you hit an obstacle, a roadblock, or just notice an outdated thinking pattern that's full of resistance and not helping you be generative. All right, so let's see what else he says. Behavioral scientists have also found that just asking people about their future decisions significantly influences those decisions, a phenomenon known as the mere measurement effect. Back in 1993, social scientists conducted a study with more than 40,000 participants. That's a huge number. That revealed that simply asking someone if they were going to purchase a new car within 6 months increased their purchase rates by 35%. That is such a crazy large number. Okay, according to an earlier study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, asking citizens whether they're going to vote in an upcoming election increases the likelihood that they will by 25%. And in a yet another study, this one from 2008, researchers found that asking about one's intention to give blood raised donation rates by a modest but noteworthy 8.6%. The same effect has been found in studies involving computer sales, exercise frequency, and disease prevention. In each case, all these behaviors can be increased just by asking about them. I actually just used this with my father. I sent him a Wim Hof video showing Wim Hof talk about cancer treatment, radiation, and cold therapy. And then after I had him watch that video, I stopped by later that day and I said, so are you going to try taking a cold shower? Now, I don't expect him to take that action immediately, but I expect that he'll be at least thinking more about it and more receptive to the concept. And he actually is. Yay. Okay, inquiring your way to influence. This is more David Hoffeld. So why do questions have such influence on the decision-making process? First and foremost, they prompt the brain to contemplate a behavior, which increases the probability that it will be acted upon. In fact, decades of research has found that the more the brain contemplates a behavior, the more likely it is that we will engage in it. That's not all. Just think about doing something can shift your perception and even alter your body chemistry. For instance, imagine sipping some lemon juice. What does it taste like? As you briefly think about lemon juice, notice the sensations occurring in your mouth. You'll find that something totally beyond your control occurred. You began to salivate more, and you could almost taste the tartness of the juice. And I personally find this quite fascinating that we can shift our physiology with a question. And so it's really worth a look at, like how do you want to use this in terms of your personal health, and how do you want to use it in terms of what you're tackling next with challenges. Okay, David Hoffeld, just thinking about doing something can shift your perception and even alter your body chemistry. So now let's get into what some good lofty questions might be. And these are honestly, these are like just off the top of my head, things that I've used. But I really recommend you figuring out your own as I write this. Like, you're not going to resonate with mine. You're going to figure out ones that are better. So write down, as I'm talking to you, write down a challenge that you want to ask into a question, so that as I'm going through these questions, you can reframe yours into a question. Just press pause, write down your challenge that we can now start to frame as a lofty question. Again, a lofty question is going to turn it into something that says, like, right now is actually a future state, done, life positive thing. Here's an example. How come making my goal into reality, fill in your goal. Mine right now might be recording these videos. How come making my goal into reality came about so easily? Why am I so good at blank? And you want to fill in a skill that you don't have, or something that you currently find very challenging. I like to ride my bike up the mountain. So why am I so good at riding my bike up the mountain? And my brain and my body chemistry are going to find some good answers and some different behaviors to answer that question. Why is it that getting things done is so much faster than ever? Why do I have more free time every day? Who showed up at exactly the right time to help me? How did that extra $10,000 end up in my bank account? How did that book fly right out of me and onto the shelves around the world? How did I create all this time to do exactly what I want to do? Why does my life always exceed my expectations? Why is it that my relationships keep getting better, more dynamic, and more supportive? Again, anything that's a challenge, you want to put it in this future, in this what you're actually wanting from it, like the solution of it, or the experience of it, the future desired experience of it. And you want to pose that into a question that's in and now reflecting your past. And this is what triggers the mind to start to generate answers. How is it that I get to travel wherever I want to next? How come my body is operating at peak performance today? All right, and so that's your assignment, is to now generate a lofty question that is based on a current challenge, or something that is a resistance, or something that's currently not a reality that you wish were a reality. Turn that into a question where you're saying, this has happened. How did this happen? Why did this happen? When did this happen? So easily. You can add words like so easily, or without any issues, or however you want that really resonates with you. All right, this is a practice. I recommend writing those questions down on sticky notes. Just I like to keep sticky notes right near my desk, and then I can write that question down, and then I can stick it right on my computer so that I'm seeing it. How is it that this project of doing all these videos came about so quickly and with little editing? Have fun with it.